No, let me do that again. I don't want to say unfortunately.
All right.
No humor allowed. Okay.
Back to one.
Yeah, we got it. Third time's the charm. Yeah, hi, my name's Philip Cornwall, and I'm the writer, director, and editor of ROSEBLOOD.
What is ROSEBLOOD?
ROSEBLOOD, it's a short satirical horror coming out hopefully in the fall of 2019.
What does ROSEBLOOD mean to you?
ROSEBLOOD to me means a lot of different things. It's my opportunity to tell the horror film that I always envisioned, but also being able to make the audience laugh and feel comfortable for a while. It's my brand of dark humor, and hopefully that comes through.
What inspired you to write ROSEBLOOD?
It kind of started from a political side, but it kind of morphed into something different. Basically, just people being divided from one another and putting people with different opinions and attitudes and just letting them go to town on each other with their words and maybe something else and what that means.
What are your previous projects?
Previous projects recently, I did a short called Cougar 67 about obsession. A man loses his father, but he inherits an old 1967 Mercury Cougar, and he's obsessed with fixing it. That's kind of the gist of it. And then I finished my first feature film, Dust to Dusk, last year, which premiered right here actually at the Grand Cinema in Tacoma in March of last year. And that was a psychological horror film, pretty personal, about an agoraphobic and how he deals with basically everyday life and the things that are thrown his way while terrifying you at the same time.
How did ROSEBLOOD compare to your previous projects?
Oh my. ROSEBLOOD was definitely different than Dust to Dusk because I had more of a village to work with around me. Dust to Dusk was a really small crew, a lot of guerrilla filmmaking, which is kind of how I came up. And ROSEBLOOD is definitely more formal, a lot of different departments that I got to use, which I'm excited about. A lot of different aspects that bring the whole thing.
Who or what are your influences as a director?
I have a lot of influences as a director. P.T. Anderson's my favorite director. He doesn't necessarily make horror films, but sticking in the horror realm, I definitely love George Romero. I love his subversive social commentary and making it not so obvious of what he's saying. He's making something about something, but it's really about something else. So he's one of my favorites. I also love, despite not being maybe the best person, I like the old films of Roman Polanski, Knife in the Water, Repulsion, and obviously Rosemary's Baby.
Why horror?
I've been surrounded by horror my whole life. Not to say that my life's been bad, but my mom got me into Stephen King since I was 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, and it all kind of just started from there. I just love what horror is able to do. It's able to tell a story, horrify you, make you laugh, maybe send a social commentary, political message, but while doing it through allegory. It's my favorite genre, and I couldn't imagine working in another genre. This time I get to add comedy to the mix, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
Why do you think we're seeing a resurgence of old dark house films?
I think, basically what's going on in society reflects what's going on in horror movies, or horror movies reflect that. And it's interesting to see how the tide turns. 10 years ago, it was a lot of like torture type movies, which kind of reflected, the wars in the Middle East. And it's always been that way since back in the day with the nuclear radiation and the Vietnam War, civil rights, excess of the 80s. So I think the current stratosphere of what's going on is, I feel there's definitely this thought process that there is a divisiveness among people, and I think just speak candidly, I think the media tries to keep people divided, and they kind of feed into that. They want to keep people in their own, categories instead of bringing them together.
What was the biggest challenge on ROSEBLOOD?
The biggest challenge of ROSEBLOOD is in the story itself. 12 people at a table, and action happening around that table. So definitely working with that on a 3-day shoot was challenging, to say the least. But we worked as a team. Teamwork makes the dream work, and we got it done. We all worked together, and we did it one shot at a time, and it's going to come together as a complete whole.
What is the biggest takeaway from ROSEBLOOD?
The biggest takeaway from ROSEBLOOD that I got personally was being able to do what I always wanted to do, tell my story and see my vision through, just on a larger scale. And with more cast, more crew, kind of a more ambitious storyline, and just being able to execute it.
What are your distribution plans?
Well, we hope to get into a lot of film festivals for sure, and obviously the horror film festivals are definitely a niche thing, and usually what they ask for is horror. So, there's definitely some of that in ROSEBLOOD, and I'm very confident that we'll be able to get into a lot of film festivals and hopefully get the momentum going that way. Just go from there.
Who do you most identify with at the dinner table?
Well, I guess I'll leave Rose and Cooper out of it. But the rest of the Conway family, I probably would have to go with Ritzy. And the reason I'd go with Ritzy, I'm not quite that distracted by technology, but I think that the way society is engineered is to keep people distracted of some larger issues that are important. And I think I identify with her because she doesn't always have control of her kids, and she means well, but she's also kind of a slave to this system that keeps you distracted, and that's unfortunate.
What is the origin of the Deb character?
Ooh, the Deb character. Well, I won't spoil anything about her character, but hopefully this doesn't sound pretentious, but I saw each character at the table definitely representing different parts of myself, and she would represent the absolute worst side of me that hopefully doesn't come out too often. She's condescending, she's critical, she's not accepting, she's weary, fearful, mean, acidic, all those words. But she does love her son. So I kind of looked at her like a Queen Cersei character from Game of Thrones. She has that one redeeming feature. But aside from that, she's...
Who is going to love ROSEBLOOD?
I hope a lot of people like ROSEBLOOD. I think it offers a lot of different elements to it. There's definitely comedy in there, and hopefully people respond to my style of humor and the way that we executed it with my talented cast. Obviously the horror, staying true to my horror elements. I couldn't do it any other way. And also, hopefully by the end, something new, something else. I wanted to transcend both of those genres and maybe bring something unexpected to the table. But yeah, definitely comedy and horror.
Okay, that's it.
Who are you voting for in the election?